A best-selling author, CRO whisperer, and neuroscience-driven performance coach. She's helped go-to-market teams crush forecasts, cut decision time by 40%, and scale to billions in market cap. She's a tech exec turned rock band frontwoman turned leadership catalyst. She's human dynamo about to flip how you think about leading sales teams. Welcome to Leadership That Sells. This is the podcast that helps you lead first and sell more. Great sales teams, great teams in general need great leaders, but too often sellers become managers without the right support, the right training, and that is why we built the Leadership That Sells playbook, and you should check it out at the Practical Leadership Academy. Joelle Kaufman, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Well, Paul Morton, it is my pleasure, and I love everything about the perspective of Leadership That Sells.
Marvelous. So we're going to start directly to the heart of what you spend a lot of your time with, which is your curveball method. Start off, please. Most people are going to be familiar with a curveball. Not everyone. What is it?
Okay, so not metaphorically, a curveball is a baseball pitch that looks like it's coming fast, but it is literally moving in the air. And as a batter, it is a less powerful, less familiar pitch, and pitchers use it to throw the batter off balance and hopefully strike them out. The metaphor is, we can never choose what pitch we get in life, in our jobs, in our families. The pitches just come. And we all want a fastball down the middle because that's fun. We can hit that and we can have a good time. But that's just not what we get. We get off-speed pitches like curveballs and sliders and knuckleballs, and they look different. And how we are prepared and how we approach that off-speed pitch, that unfamiliar, unwelcome pitch, that's the difference between being a successful leader and being out of the game.
And it's, I think, the altitude that you achieve or end up with is almost the definition of the volume of these curveballs. Most people do their daily job, their fastball, the daily job, day in, day out. But when you get to a position of significant responsibility, what was the wonderful phrase? Shit flows uphill, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's all you end up with. You end up with the difficult decisions, because if it was easy, somebody else would have done it already.
That's right. That's exactly right. And if you aspire to senior leadership, if you aspire to be a founder, if you aspire to be a CEO, you are signing up for a professional life of curveballs. But as you know, Paul, even if you don't aspire to that, you're going to get curveballs in your personal life because life is full of curveballs. There's no avoiding them. We have to have an approach that actually turns curveballs, those challenges, into opportunities and possibilities.
I think then this is where your approach is really, really attractive. I mean, you have, and we'll talk about this as well, you have the curveball method for sales leaders. It's a strategy to transform unseen challenges into growth opportunities, right? But you talk about this idea of taking the unexpected and focusing on the opportunity. And I talk to people about the word good. And I stole this, and I wish I could remember where I stole it. It might come back to me. When horrible things happen, or personally are damaging or difficult or whatever it is, you lose, you don't win, something bad goes wrong, the first thing out your mind, your mouth should be good. Because good. Right? I broke my leg. Good. Because. Why? I don't know. Find it. Mm-hmm. Find the good. Mm-hmm. Find the good in it. Because if you're sitting there focusing on the negative, you're not going to solve whatever problems are coming your way. That's my tuppence worth. I know you've got a lot more. Give me a lot more. Curveball. What is the curveball? How do we find the opportunity? Go on.
Okay. So, to your tuppence worth, finding the first part of dealing with a curveball is as simple as recognizing it's a curveball. Now, you talked about just say good. And the first thing going through your head is, I don't want this. I don't want this. I don't want this to be happening. And a healthy way to think about that is it's a fire alarm. It's warning you something different is here, something that needs your attention. It's not telling you it's a good thing, it's a bad thing. It's telling you it's a thing. So the first step of the curveball method is to see it and say, ooh, that's a thing. That's not the thing I expected. And then turn off the fire alarm. So you can't fight the fire with the fire alarm going because it's just beeping and beeping and
Right,
beeping. And
right.
your whole physiology is getting stressed.
Mm.
And when you get stressed, the part of your brain that's thinking is your parasympathetic limbic system, otherwise known as the brainstem, otherwise known as your reptile brain. So if you want a frog making the decisions, actually, that's an amphibian. But
We'll
if
take
you
it.
want a
Lizard.
snake, a lizard making the decisions, keep going with the fire alarm. But if you actually want a Homo sapien with a fully formed frontal lobe, you got to turn off the alarm. So you see it, the alarm goes off, and the first thing you do is breathe
Mm.
deeply and hold it in and let it out. And notice how everything calms down.
Totally
And
works.
that's all it takes 10
Totally
seconds,
works. Mm.
right? So we see it, we calm down, we
Mm.
pause. And if breathing doesn't work for you, it could be take a drink of water, it could be just close your eyes for a moment, like whatever works for you, experiment. Okay, now we have to say, I'm going to be curious. Let me look at this curveball. What is it? How is it moving? What do I know
Mm.
about it? What do I want to ask? What am I curious about? And again, we can do this quickly, although an important thing, Paul, curveballs are always moving slower than they appear. So once you've turned off the fire alarm
Ah.
and taken a breath, a great example in sales is I have a prospect and they're yelling. Okay, that seems like the fire alarm. You got to calm yourself. And then you actually have to calm them to
Mm.
understand, okay, what's going on and how can I help? Now, the way you're going to help is you're going to lean into your strengths. So when a batter sees a curveball, they recognize it, they hang back, they wait for it. And then whatever their superpower is, they know that's what I'm going to use. So your superpower could be in sales. I'm really good at handling security and data privacy questions, or I'm really good at navigating the procurement process and help guiding my prospect through it. I'm really good at navigating the integration and deployment. I'm really good at building a coalition. I don't know what you're really good at. Hopefully, something on that list. I'm really good at negotiating and creating a set of terms that everybody feels is a win. Terrific. Something in that list is your strength. So you lean back, you breathe, you take an inventory of your strengths. But in sales, it's a team at the plate, not just a single batter. So if the strength that you have isn't matching the way that curveball's moving, well, assess what strengths you have on the team and tap in another player because it's not about you being a hero, it's about winning the game, which means you have to then move to your mindset. Your mindset, to your point, is say good. So your mindset can be there's going to be something to learn from this. There's going to be interesting ways to approach this problem that I haven't thought of before. And even if it doesn't work out, there's going to be something to learn from it.
Mm.
And I'm always learning. I want to be learning until my last breath. And the only way we learn, frankly, is when things don't go right, because that forces us to stretch.
Yeah.
So now we've seen it, we've slowed down, we've used our strengths, we've focused our mindset on there's a learning opportunity, there's something good here. And then I assess, do I have any other resources I can use? Partners, other customers, other people that aren't on my standard team. Bring in the CEO. Do I need to bring in the CFO? Like, what are my choices here? And having done all of that, which doesn't take very long, now I swing the bat. I make my first play. And we see how it goes. And if it doesn't go perfectly, which it probably won't, we take that data, we adjust, and we swing again.
I love it. Absolutely love it. So, yeah, not moving as fast as you think, I think is really important.
It is.
Really, really important. Taking your
And turning
time,
off the fire alarm.
yeah, identifying it for what it is. This is different. This is a thing to pay attention to. Calm the hell down. It's not moving as fast. You've got longer than you think. You can use other people, play to your strengths. Yeah, I love that. That's a
Good.
gorgeous, gorgeous way of thinking about that. So this is dealing with unpredictability, dealing with the complexity, the craziness in business. And I think it overlaps and it plays nicely to life as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes things go wrong at home. Sometimes things go
Mm-hmm.
wrong with health. And I know that's a big passion for you as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to take us through how you might apply that same sort of thinking process to other parts
Sure.
of your life.
So I am a 42, 43-year intergenerational cancer survivor. First time cancer impacted my family, I was 13, then 15. Then when I was 40 weeks pregnant with my second child, and my sister was 29, so I was in my early 30s, and so on and so on and so on. So I think by the time I was diagnosed, which was the day before I was supposed to have a prophylactic bilateral mastectomy, I think I was the 12th. And here's the thing. When you've seen a curveball before, and then you recognize it, you actually can get very quickly through all those other elements because you're like, oh, I know that curveball. That one breaks left. And the way I've hit this one successfully in the past looks like this. So the reason I actually wrote my book, Crushing the Cancer Curveball, was to try to give people who are seeing that curveball for the first time a playbook
Yeah.
from the experience of those of us that have seen it over and over and over and over, either as a patient or as a caregiver or as a friend, because it has a pattern, as do the curveballs that happen in business. Now, with the cancer curveball, it's not all that different. Like the first thing is take a breath. This is only urgent because you know about it. It's
Yesterday
not,
you didn't know about it.
and you are the same person. With all the things you can and want to do, you probably will do them all, which is awesome. So now that you've taken a breath, and we have to look for curiosity, what are we looking at? Well, unless you are an expert in cancer, and you should never treat yourself, you're going to need to put together a team. And a team is going to include an oncologist. That should be your quarterback. And then it may include a radiology oncologist. It may include a psycho-oncologist for your brain. It may include lots of different people, surgeons, reconstructive surgeons. This team could get pretty big. One of my colleagues, unfortunately, was just diagnosed with a severe low survival rate cancer. And he knew nothing about it. And I tried to help him develop his approach. And one of the things that he said is like, I don't even know the language. I have no idea what to expect. And I said, well, I will be your tour guide to the worst amusement park on earth.
Oh, that's
But
dark. I
it's
love it.
dark.
I love it, but it's good.
Well, and over the course of an hour, I answered questions. I explained, not telling him what his treatment's going to be, because I'm not a doctor. And not telling him, oh, you should do this supplement or you should do, like, not a doctor.
Mm.
But I was able to help him identify the sequence of events, how quickly they would likely happen, and where he had choice and agency in the matter.
Mhm.
And when you think about that, whatever the curveball is, you're not a pinball. You don't have to be bounced around. you can actually express agency. That can be agency over things like location, timing. That can be things about how you want to enjoy and celebrate your life. If there are milestones or things you want to make sure treatment works around. But how do you shape this? Because ultimately, Paul, I used all of my leadership and negotiation skills to shape my cancer treatment to be as minimally invasive to my life and to be able to work, to be able to travel, to be able to celebrate. I couldn't drink, but that's okay. To be able to engage mostly normally with my life. And my mostly was I did avoid indoor restaurants and indoor large groups because I knew my immune system had become my temple of gold that I wanted to protect and preserve and strengthen. But I was able to do that, ate normally, exercised as I had been. I created a strength reproduction system. So I talked about lean into your strengths. And my strength reproduction system I call happiness tripwires. I actually think we should be doing this in our lives at all times.
I
But
love this. Happiness tripwires. You don't get away with not explaining this.
okay, so a happiness tripwire is something that you have implemented or instrumented your life that automatically happens and makes you smile. So I happen to know your birthday's next week. And look at that smile, right?
There
And
you
just
go.
by reminding you that I listened and I knew you were having a birthday makes you feel good.
It does.
And that makes me feel good. And what
Shoot.
just happened to both of our bodies is there was a burst release of serotonin and oxytocin and dopamine. And that cocktail is doing a number of things. It's making us feel good. Take that. It's giving us a little bit of energy. I'll take that. It's actually focusing our mind. I want that. And it's bolstering our immune systems. So
Ah.
for my cancer journey, I started asking people to do things throughout the journey, little things like asking my son, the baseball player, to send me a letter digitally for every chemotherapy so that I'd get a piece of digital chocolate to read as I waited between labs and infusion. It's sending a text to someone to say, I'm thinking of you. I really loved when we did ba 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 ba. Because all you're looking to do is provoke a 10-second response that is a smile. This is not saying to somebody, be happy, be positive. Don't give people work to do. That's bullshit. But if you can't have other people help you out by sending something, well, then it's on you to put things in your path. That could be, for me, I like looking at a sunflower. Sunflowers inevitably make me smile. They are really funny plants. Their heads move with the sun. They almost have a personality. And I can't think of a sunflower without smiling.
There you are.
So I get my little sunflower dose. Some people, it's a cat or a dog or just going outside and taking a breath of air. Whatever your things are, make sure you're getting them throughout your day. Those little bursts, little things. And if you can give one to someone else, I guarantee that's going to boomerang back exponentially.
There's no such thing as a small act of kindness.
None. And this is actually good for your health.
Oh yeah, yeah, with
And
bells.
so the punchline is, my cancer journey became one of the happiest, most loved, most connected years of my life. And by the end of my chemo, so 12 cycles of chemo,
Oh wow.
that's okay. I was on an easier chemo. It was fine. I was down to a 1/8 dose of the steroid that they give you for immunity because my labs had been good. And my doctor turned to me at my 12th session and said, I'd never believe from your labs that you're a chemo patient. And the one change was happiness tripwires. That's it. So
Okay.
I call them free uppers. And now well, they are, but now let's think about sales managers
Well,
and sellers. Like selling is hard. You get punched in the teeth or you
it's
get
the job
ghosted.
description. Yeah.
Right. Or you get ghosted. I mean, lots of things happen. And if we think of ourselves like a mobile phone with a battery, and throughout the day, that battery is just losing charge. right? We have to do things to recharge. Well, if you're the sales manager, you need to understand how to help your sellers keep their battery charged. That is not necessarily being rah rah attaboy. There are some people who it's like, hey, let's go take a walk. They just need to get their bodies moving.
Yep.
So you have to understand what helps charge their batteries, which means your battery has to be charged as a sales leader. And that whole reaction of, oh my God, I'm not going to make my number. My God, that deal's blowing up. My whole quarter was based on that deal. Okay, this is all could be true. It could even go as far as, and I'm going to be fired, and I'm never going to get a job again, and I'm going to be naked, dead in a ditch. Right? We
By
can go the
Wednesday.
whole way.
Yeah.
Right? Right? We're going to go the whole way. And that's the fire alarm.
Yeah.
We need to take, oh, I just got an alarm and I'm spiraling. Take a breath. It's a curveball. Okay, time to get curious. Right? So I want to be curious. I want to encourage my sellers. Okay, it's a curveball. Let's get curious. What can we learn? What do we need to understand to develop how we want to approach this, how we want to swing the bat? Right? And it even to the extent of if what we learn is that we missed something in qualification and we've wasted resources, that's not a waste. Because now I want to go back to the beginning to how are we qualifying and targeting and saying, how do I tighten that aperture so that we can actually learn from this and have better sales velocity and better win rates because we learned from this mistake.
So what are then the traits that we need to try and model and bring out in the teams around us? If we want to try and, because this is more than just resilience. This isn't resilience. This is intelligent resilience. This is
I like that.
active, proactive, demonstrable. There's more to it. That dealing with a curveball. You know, how do I then build this in my team?
Right. So there's a few things. First, you have to be a model of it. They will take their cues from you. So when that fire alarm's going off and you're experiencing stress and potentially panic, you saying, okay, this is not what we wanted. I need to regroup for a second. I need to take a breath. Why don't you all take a breath? You're modeling and you're guiding them. When you're saying, okay, what do we need to understand? And you're doing it out loud because you're modeling. These are the steps we take. We know what our strengths are. Let's list them. What are our options here? Our mindset. We are here to learn and to grow. And our success comes from delighting the right customer. And so we're going to figure out, is this the right customer? What will it take to delight them? And if the answer is they're not, we need to learn and go back to the beginning. But we are articulating the process because by articulating it, we're bringing them along. By asking them questions, they're becoming part of it and they're learning how to do this themselves.
Yeah.
And it's okay as a leader to say, oh, this bums me out. I just want you to know, like, I feel that too. But it is what it is. And there's an opportunity here. We're just going to peel it apart until we reveal it.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, make sure you exercise, make sure you get sleep, because you've got to be able to keep your battery charged. And watch them. And if you have somebody who's really not able to get over it, that's a time to take them aside and figure out with them, like, what's going to recharge your battery? What's going to get you in a better place? And if they're like, I'm just terrified I'm going to be fired. Like, okay, I appreciate that. And that thought process is actually getting in the way of you solving problems and could actually be a self-fulfilling prophecy if you focus on this potential catastrophe instead of the problem at hand. So how can I serve you? How can I help? Right? So there's a lot of EQ, emotional quotient, emotional intelligence that's going into this. But I will tell you, Paul, the best way to help your team deal with curveballs is create time and practice, right? Do batting practice. So in your weekly sales meetings, carve out time to say, okay, hypothetical situation. Here's what comes at us.
Right.
Run me through your process. Take me through the steps. Right. And now let's give feedback. How can we do that better? Where could we? And what we're building is a reflex. There's a reason that we make doctors do ridiculous amounts of hours in residency. It's because we want them to have the right reflex when a problem happens. There's a reason that great batters, not only do they do batting practice almost every day of the week, they do batting practice before every game. Every game.
Mm-hmm.
For an hour. They're swinging the bat at different kinds of pitches because they are trying to get their mind, their eyes, their body in the groove for, I've seen that before. I've seen that before. I've seen that before. But we don't do that with our sales teams. So
Professionally,
why
I
do
think
you
we're hideously underprepared for things. We just don't. We don't look after people. We don't train. I mean, every other part of the business has, either it's mechanical training or professional training, or it's some sort of training and practice to get good at something. The most measured, the most vital, the most central part of any organization, because nobody eats and nothing sells, and we say, oh, you're a salesperson, good luck, here's your telephone, off you go. And it's even worse when you then promote them into being a manager, because
Of
you just
course.
assume so much.
Well, and, I've seen countless very talented salespeople become managers, and they're intuitive. So their ability to coach, to teach is limited because they look at it and say, don't you see it? And the seller's going, see what?
Yeah.
Right? So we do need to do more than train people on this is our sales methodology. We're going to use MEDIC or BATNA
No,
or
don't do
something
that.
else. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
place for
Yeah,
it. It's
totally.
good to have a qualification methodology, but and then I've been involved with challenger and solution-based selling and
Spin,
value-based selling and
veto,
right,
vice,
spin,
you name
right. So
them.
we teach them all these methods, but we don't teach them how to deal with their emotional reaction to curveballs. And that's where they fuck up.
It's probably about 80% of the problem. The 80% of the job is dealing
Right.
with the shit that flows uphill. Or it flows down the pipe. Yeah, you got a pipeline
Yeah,
full of shit. Oh,
that's right.
your pipeline's full of shit. It flows straight at the salesperson
Right. And
day
they
after
are
day.
usually, their comp depends on it. They
Yeah.
know that they could be fired easily because they are measured. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. And
Mhm.
while I don't think sales leaders or CEOs should be therapists, there's therapists for that. I think how you create a culture, how we talk about, if you can't do hypothetical curveballs, good news, I guarantee you're seeing them anyway. So you can talk about
So,
post-action curveballs.
yeah.
This is what happened. Let's go through it and let's play it again. And what you're doing there is you're accelerating the learning of
Mhm.
that whole team, and you are helping them deal with more curveballs and building the resilience intelligence. But it's also, this thing people don't realize, Paul, it's fun, right? Like it's a puzzle, and
Yeah.
being able to find new pieces to the puzzle or new ways to put the puzzle together, that's exciting. It's fun. And how boring. I mean, I can't imagine. I've never been in a company that was an order taker, but I have to imagine it's somewhat dull.
Yeah. I mean, you got the poor folk. I had the experience of it a few weeks ago. I was trying to sort my internet connection out, and you get somebody who's on the other end of the phone. It's basically, do you want the small, medium, or large? With fries. I'm thinking, dude, you did a great job. He did a great job. Really, really, guy did a great job. Diagnosed the problem, what I wanted, and all that sort of stuff. But it's a limited,
Right.
very limiting. Right, right, right. Well, my goodness, well, there's so much to take out of a curveball. I think
Thank you.
there's any number of ways of leading through curveballs. That's what I'm trying to get to. It's not you're dealing with it, you're leading through it and you're doing it confidently.
Mhm.
You're
Because
modeling
you
it.
have a method.
That's
You
it.
have a method.
And we now have a method. We have the Joelle Kaufman Curveball Method available at bookstores and internet sites near you, gtmflow.com,
Yes.
right? Is there
Yes,
anywhere
you can
else we
go
can find
to,
you?
well, you can find me on Instagram at Grit, Growth, and Resilience. You can find me on LinkedIn at LinkedIn Joelle Kaufman. And but the best way to learn more about the curveball method is go to gtmflow.com/curveball. And you will see lots of detail about it. You're welcome to self-learn. And if people want to talk to me, there's ways to schedule time and see if we can help up-level your leadership or that of your whole team.
And I think that's an invitation that should not be declined by anyone who's listening to this. Because if you are, then you are in the right place and you're talking to the right woman. Joelle Kaufman, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Paul, thank you. This was a lot of fun.